Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright, alright, alright. 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 Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright, alright, alright.
Yo, what's
Hey.
happening?
Welcome back.
What's going on?
Yo, this is our last class in this space. Next time you see this class, we're going to be somewhere else. Today I was there all day long, working on the details and the logistics and all of those small stuff around the space. And I just want to send a shout out to Steph and Tennille for working a lot of the details behind the scenes. And shout out to Demondre and Josh for coming over there, heading over to Alameda today to look at the space. So, as you guys know, emails went out on the website. We have information about the class. We're developing an in-house group of people that will be part of the class. And if you wish to be a part of the class, make sure you respond to Tennille's email about how to sign up for the class. In addition to that, the goal, we have limited spaces. So once we hit that, I think the number is 30, 30 or 35, whatever. Once we hit that number, we're going to pause there. One, because we're going to be in beta mode for a few weeks as we adjust to the new space. Two is so we can actually, Jesus Christ, everybody's texting me now. So the second thing is that so we can actually work on just adjusting to the new space, right? We're in a really nice building, really nice classroom, air conditioning, so it doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold. We're gonna have about 4 projectors running at the same time with just full information, smart projectors. So we're gonna have plenty of whiteboards. We're gonna be working. I'm gonna get a chance when July starts up. I'm actually gonna use a lot of those projectors to show video samples of some of these mental models, some of these principles, some of these biases, some of the fallacies, some of the distortions. We're gonna take an opportunity to kind of like really display a lot of those type of different things. Let me say this too about July. My goal in July is to change your life forever. My goal in July is to change your life forever. Let me put this warning out now. Ignorance is bliss. And if you are having the best time not knowing nothing, don't come July. Because July is I'm going to help you develop the ears and the thinking of leadership. And if you show up in July, because July is going to be different than almost any other class we've ever created before. I've already started working on the homework last month. It's that intense. The goal is to, like, when you come through after July is over with, I'm going to introduce ideas and principles and thoughts that I can almost promise you I'm going to destroy. Starting in July, I will destroy the news for you. I'm going to destroy documentaries for you. I'm going to damage a lot of history books for you. I'm going to destroy popular culture for you. It's not going to destroy. You're going to think so different that you won't be vacuumed into those conversations. And those conversations won't have a pull on you. I'm going to show you how to be compassionate for those who have those ideas, but I'm going to change your frequency of thought. And it's going to be just like 6 months of what the hell. There's a story that says, in order for a magician to exploit a mark, the magician relies upon the mark thought that he actually controls himself. If the person believes they actually control their thoughts, they control their memory, they have access to their memory, that the sense of you controls your body and your perception, if you believe that, then a magician can actually turn you into a mark. A con man requires for you to believe it. If you have high confidence in yourself, you're easy to be played. Did you know that? You guys know that? That your self-confidence, because your self-confidence, Absolute confidence in self, meaning assuming that you have full control of your body, your senses, your awareness, that you don't have biases, that you understand where you're going, that you can sense reality, that when you think about the past, what you saw is what you know is actually what happened, what you heard is real. Like all those senses, your belief in that makes you vulnerable to be conned. The person who's more questionable and is aware of their personal limitations, it's harder to con. Isn't that a cold game? I fell in love with, I've been studying cons. I don't know, just some new shit I got into recently. It's like my new form of fun, is studying cons. Like how do people con, from big cons to small cons to famous cons historically. And another thing I discovered that was cold-blooded, this is supporting all the stuff you've been teaching, is, did you guys know this? That guys ever seen when they do the group they hypnotize a large group of people? So a person comes in the room, he says, hey, they usually see them at corporate events or college events where they're going to bring a whole bunch of people to the stage and hypnotize a group of people. And here's the trick about it that most people don't know. So this is how they become a mark. Those people never become hypnotized. They never hypnotize the people. You know what actually happens? When the people come to the stage, first of all, he walks to the stage and finds out who's not really have a passion for being up there, who doesn't have a desire to have status, who ego is actually tame. So if he or she senses your ego's tame, they tap your shoulder and go, it's not for you. You're not the type, right? Because the first question he asks is, who wants to be hypnotized? Right? So people are like, I want to be hypnotized, right? And the crowd starts clapping. Oh my God, this stuff is crazy. So then he gets you to buy into certain concepts. Then he puts your ego on trial. And he says, go to sleep. And you know deep down in your mind, if I don't buy in, then I'll lose my moment of fame. So people go to sleep. Literally, because they buy in. This is a known psychological thing. They literally buy into it. Then he says the way they start to profess things they never would profess to anybody else is because the more they buy into it, the more they realize, oh shit, I'm coming this far. I'm not about to embarrass myself, right? And so literally he goes, act like Britney Spears. And I don't know none of her songs, so don't even ask me to do it. So you start doing the Britney Spears, right? Carton, right? And all of a sudden, he say, wake up. The whole time you were never hypnotized. The whole time you could not resist the power of your ego or the momentum of the label. If that don't tell you a lot about modern day culture, how things become contagious, one of my concerns about young people experiencing gender is the label game, right? Once you buy into certain ideas, the dope dealer game, the gangster game, the hip hop game, the whatever titles you buy, whatever fucking label you buy into, your brain, your ego will make you conform, even if it's outside of your will or something you have no desire to do, in order to protect the fame and the value you gain from you connected to the label. That's a known trick. You want to look it up. That they exploit your ego. So when he teaches ego is the enemy, he's not saying that you can't have some ego, right? I have a friend right now, very successful, a lot of ego, but he also has the ability to tame his ego, right? What we're saying is that the ego has so much power over you that you might find yourself on East 14 late at night trying to support your ego. And so it's one of those things that it's a powerful thing. And so in July, when July rolls around, I'm going to introduce a lot of ideas and principles and values that in your brain you're going to say, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. Or, you're literally going to say, oh, I thought, I didn't know that's how the brain works. Or I'm going to introduce these ways of thinking that you have never heard on television. You've never heard in popular culture. I'm going to show you how to control and manipulate people. How to influence people, right? But I'm also going to show you the ethical side and why you decide to go the opposite direction, how it can actually destroy you. And so there's a lot you're going to learn in July. July is going to be a heavy, heavy course. A lot of new principles introduced. Court is not. I'm gonna force Court to be involved because he uses a lot of these tools as well. But I'm just looking forward to July. So just know this is the last class in this building. We will be moving to Alameda. In the class, we're going to be asking for you people to support us in the process of straighten up before you leave. If we have a cleaning, wipe your station, because you'll have your own little small desk area. So wiping your station is spaced down. There are some requirements that came out in the email about if you're vaccinated, masks are optional. If you're not vaccinated, then you have to wear a mask during class. Everybody has to sign a waiver that says that when they join the class, they're not going to sue Alameda County because they caught COVID from court screaming at you. So the only thing I heard was your feelings, and I can't pay for that. So we have a waiver signed, and there's a small little app that every time you go to class, this is an app. You just take your QR code thing, and you check yes, 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 no, and then it turns green, and then you can come into class. And it's asking questions like, do you feel like you have COVID symptoms? Have you been on a plane, right? It's unfortunate if you get in your car feeling like you have COVID and you bring your ass to class, and we're streaming live. I won't even understand how to translate that. But so that's basically it. Huge room, beautiful room, plenty of projectors. It's really plushed out. Like I said, air conditioning. It's just a really plush classroom and setup. And so with that being said, pay attention to your emails. Pay attention to the Facebook group. We're going to be announcing stuff on the Facebook group. Those who've been coming every week, Tennille will lock your positions in because you guys have been riding with us even during COVID. When you guys was in here, when everybody was scared to leave their house, you guys was like, yeah, I'm riding with you. Let's do this. You guys are locked in. And then next on the list are the people who are paid. And then if the list doesn't fill up from the paid members and their personal invites, then we will shift to the people within the Facebook group that's part of the loose membership. And so with that being said, I don't have any more announcements. I'm really excited about this. Just take it in. This is going to be the last time you hear that goddamn train. So, and I ain't going to create no sound effect for you. That's just going to be the last damn time you hear it. So with that being said, I'm about to step up onto the stage and get ready for this this dope experience we're about to have. So with that being said, see y'all in a minute.
Yes, sir. Leave it. Leave it. Yeah, leave it. Here's your phone, Nana. Man, that's going to be dope. It's exciting. It's exciting. The evolution. So today we have a fire class today. Really exciting class. This class is going to be jam-packed with a lot of game. And the kind of game that you can apply immediately in your business, in your life, in your family, in who you are. This class is jam-packed. So get your notebooks out. Be ready to take notes. Do not overlook the amount that's coming because it's going to be every topic is full of game and it's life-changing game. So get ready for this class. It's going to be a dope class. Really dope class. So we're going to talk about some business tools, and I'm sure those business tools are going to be talked about later on this year. But these tools are critical elements of any business owner, any brander, any marketer, anybody who's going to market with a product. These are essential psychological business tools that can change the face of your business. A lot of times, in entrepreneur, I call it, some people bowl straight down the alley and some people bowl with a curve, right? You ever seen that? A lot of entrepreneurs, they bowl straight down. There's the pin. I got to hit the center of the pin. So I'm going to get good at just bringing that arm back and bowling it straight down the center and hitting that first pin because that's the name of the game. That's logical, right? But then when you look at professional bowlers or some people who are good, they have it kind of cradle it. And then they come and they curl that thing and it does a C. And it hits the pins and they get strikes way more than you do. Bowling down the center of the pin and you hit 4 pins and you're like, what the fuck? It's because there are psychological tools that are outside of your blind spot or your realm of reasoning that create the most impact, the most influence for your potential customers that you ain't even aware of. We talked a little bit about it last week. We're going to go deeper in it today. You're not even aware of it. And once I learned this shit, the fabric, the feeling of my business changed. The social currency of my business changed. The amount that I could sell in my products changed. A lot changed. So for all of you repeating students, you remember we talked about priming, framing, anchoring last year or the year before that. And I came up here and I asked everybody to write on a piece of paper number 1 through 10, right? If you remember that. And I primed the shit out of you guys. And then I had wrote down the number on a piece of paper like I had a magic trick, and me and Shakina played this game, right? And at the end, I showed the number, and the majority of the class and people at home had matched that number. And everybody was like, oh my God, that's crazy. That's impossible. Well, the reason why I picked that number because my grandfather's, that was his favorite number. No, you got primed. You got primed. That's how powerful it is. So I'm not going to do that exercise again because most of y'all already are hip to it. But understand priming works. Priming works like a motherfucker. Priming is everything. And if you are an adult on this earth right now, you use priming. You use priming. Your go to the club outfit is not the same as the go to work outfit. It's not. Why is it different? It's just clothes. Because you want to prime different. Priming is creating subconscious cues for somebody to have a certain behavior towards you. Because you have to understand, there's no greater influence than when you influence someone to think that it was their idea. Because when they think it's their idea, their own cognitive dissonance kicks in, and they'll drive that harder than you can. They'll drive it so hard, it becomes religious once they believe it. So that's why it's way better to influence someone to think it's their idea than you prove right or wrong. That's why right or wrong never works. How often does somebody come to you and say, hey, you know what, Tennille, what you said to me, I fought you, I argued, but I thought about it and you're right. I'm wrong. How often does that happen? Slim to fucking none. So our jobs in entrepreneurship has zero to do with right or wrong. It's all about the action of them purchasing your product. So how do you get them to do that? Well, you have to get them to convince that it's their idea. And priming is one of the best ways. So you're already naturally good at it. You already naturally have some experience in it. I'll say that because some of y'all may not be good. But you definitely have experience. Because your go to the club outfit is different than your go to work outfit. Absolutely. So I'll give you some examples. But you know what? Fuck it. Let's do this. Let's do this. Hella unrehearsed just came to my mind. let's play a little game. Let's test the power of something. So I want everybody to write on a piece of paper, a corner of a piece of paper, or put it in your phone, a number between 1 and 10. A number between 1 and 10. Everybody got their number? Easy, quick. Think about your number. Keep their number in your head, okay? Keep your number in your head. Again, you're talking about magic tricks and cons and 3-card mollies and all that shit. This is how they whoop your ass, using those powers for that. That's how they get you, because they know these things so well. And priming is the leader of this. But keep that number in your head and then we'll continue. So the reason why priming works so well is because it creates impulses and associations that are not accessible to your conscious mind, your system 2 mind. Priming targets the system 1. You recall system 1 and system 2. So priming targets the system 1. So it's an impulse. It hits you in a subconscious level and you don't even realize you're doing it. Why? Why do we in 2022, and when pimps wear them suits and we laugh at those suits because they're loud and they're audacious and they're weird and we know they're pimps, how come they still influence the way they do? Priming. Priming is a motherfucker. They're primed. It's sends signals, it's click word responses that if you don't jump out of the frame, if you don't jump out of that priming and you're not conscious, if you don't jump into your system 2, then you get sucked in. If you that's the same reason why sometimes some of us end up with the same type of person every time. Why the fuck do I end up with this type of person? Is because they're sending priming signals that you can't resist. They smell a certain way, they look a certain way, they're a certain height, they got this, they dress a certain way, and it's a wrap for you. It's the game. That's the priming game. Now, how do we use this in business? Understand, there's an example in one of the books where it said, if imagine you're on a beach right now, and you're sun tanning, looking at the water in the sun somewhere outside of the United States, on a beautiful beach somewhere. You're enjoying your time in a outfit, shorts, bikini, whatever, and you got your umbrella over your head, and you living a life, and you run out of something to drink, and maybe your favorite cocktail. Maybe it's if you're from the hood, maybe it's a Beautiful. Or maybe it's just a Corona, right? Let's just call it a Corona. Maybe you drink beer. You're on a beer hype right now. And you're like, damn, I need a Corona. And so you see, because you're in Mexico, say you're in Mexico, you see a guy in one of those, cheeky carts walking down the beach, rolling down the beach. And it's a beat up little cart, but it's refrigerated, and he walks up to you and says, would you like a beer? And you say, sure, I like a beer, perfect timing. How much would you pay for that beer, Kaja? How much would you pay for that beer? Corona. Who wants to pick a number? Guy rolls up in a little cheeky cart. Five's a number. $5. Lots of fives and 111. Okay? But the consensus is 5, right? Now, erase that guy. Say that guy didn't come. But say you look back and it's a huge 5-star hotel behind you. You're in the same spot. It's a 5-star hotel behind you. And a butler with a metal plate with the cover over it walks up to you in a tuxedo from that hotel and speaks to you in an English accent and says, "Ma'am, would you like another Corona? I'm from the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Would you like another Corona? How much are you ready to pay now for that beer?" Probably double. It's the same fucking beer in the same can that tastes exactly the same. The difference is priming. You know, that's how powerful priming is. That's why we preach, what's your shop look like? So when you walk into a Gucci store, you never trip on how expensive the shit is that much because you expect it to be, because they primed you for it. The smell of the place, the security guards at the front, how beautiful it is, the lights that shine behind everything, the outfits of everyone, the music in the background, the floor, the perfection of everything around you. You're thinking, damn, all right, I know this shit is going to be expensive. They're priming you for it. So when you go to Durant Square, you expect to get shit on the hookup because the way the fucking place looks. For those of you who don't know what Durant Square is, it's like an indoor swap meet. Right? Indoor swap meet, like the Slauson swap meet, like, you know, whatever swap meet you got in your hood. Even though they'll be selling the same Gucci purses in the same Louis Vuitton shits, probably fake, but it looks exactly the same. But what's the difference? If somebody says a price that's even close to the prices at the store, you trip out because you're not primed. The priming doesn't match. So that's how powerful it is. I just gave you a scenario just in our heads, and we were willing to pay double, even though we knew this was contrast example was coming. Double. So when we say, hey, raise your prices, don't just raise your prices. Make sure the priming around that raise matches the prices you're raising. Because if you just raise your prices, you're going to sit there looking hella stupid. Because they're going to walk in like, what? $40? Hell no. What they're saying is this priming doesn't match this price. This shit right here is a life changer. If you're a business owner and you want to make more money in your business, you don't have to get another customer. You don't have to get another customer. You just have to prime better and raise your price. And you just gave yourself a raise off of this one example. This shit right here is cold. It's amazing. It's magic. It's magic. So there's an example in one of the books. It's a wine store, right? In a wine store, they played French music in the background in a wine store. They played French music as the background music. French wine sales went up 77%. Then they turned around and played German music in the background. German wine sales went up almost the same amount. Off of that one priming, auditory priming. So what kind of priming is there? All kinds. It's auditory priming. People say music, visual priming, what people see. It smells. It feels. So that's why you got to get out the right and wrong game. In my business, I do team uniforms. We have the highest quality material, but that quality material happens to be, when it comes to uniforms, but that material is not thick. It's super durable, and it's some of the best material out in the market for athletes. But guess what? When customers would feel it and compare it to other bullshit, the other bullshit would be heavier. That old school mesh with the holes in it, that if you sweat, it just got heavy on you. You just got a pound on you. But guess what? They sometimes would think it's better because it feels heavier. So you know what we did? Fuck being right and wrong. We explained our asses off, and that helped some, but didn't help all the way. So guess what we did? We told our factory, hey, can you make the weight heavier? Keep the material the same, but make the weight this amount of weight. Just so when they do that field test, they're like, oh yeah, this is good shit. It was good shit before. Because I need to prime you. I need to keep you primed. Quality. You ever wonder, like, when you buy like good quality pants or jackets from like a high fashion brand, there's hella tags on it. It's this tag and another tag and another tag and then one bunch of tags, like 3 or 4 tags. What the fuck? Why? Because the brain is programmed to think the more tags, the better, more expensive, the higher the brand, the higher caliber the brand. So they're not going to sit there and argue with you. They're going to give you that priming. So you behave accordingly. Think about all the ways in which you can prime your customers. Another example. Keep thinking about your numbers, by the way. Another example. There's a particular hotel chain that soon as you walk in, you hit the front desk, there's a plate full of freshly baked cookies. Why? Why freshly baked cookies? Because it reminds you of home. It reminds you of family. It reminds you of fun. It reminds you of the games that you and your family used to play. It reminds you of dessert at home. They priming the fuck out of you with some cheap cookies. And it works. Some people will go to the hotels just for the cookies. I'm telling you. This is the amount of game that could create crazy impact on your business tonight. When I learned this, say I learned it on a Thursday, we had a all hands on deck staff meeting on a Friday. All day. Food coming, don't leave food's coming in. All right, let's scrub through every element of our business and figure out how we can use this. And this is just one. Think about it. Think about that one person that everybody loves to be around. Think about the one person that everybody loves to be around. Is there mics out there? What are some of their behavioral characteristics? Just anybody raise their hand and just they can comment. The person everybody loves to be around. Life of the party. Kaja? Spontaneous. What else? Positive. Grab the mic too, make sure.
Really positive.
Positive, spontaneous. Okay, what else? You need a mic.
She said big energy.
Big energy. So positive, spontaneous, big energy. Any more?
I think for me, like welcoming. Like
Welcoming.
they welcome you with a smile or a hug.
Now, all of those elements, those 4 elements, can they be manufactured by somebody at any time? Now, all the elements that you said, positive, big energy, spontaneous, can a person be the life of the party and be the person everybody wants to be around, and then when they get home, is it possible for them to be depressed? Yes. So is it possible that person is just built to be able to prime you guys when they're out? It's all priming. It's all priming. I watched a documentary a while ago. I love priming, by the way, if you can't tell. I watched a documentary a while ago on Netflix. I don't think it's there no more. It was called like Kumari or something like that. And it was just about an Indian kid who was born in New York. So he was just as hip hop as all of us. But his family was from India. And they took a trip out to India and into all the spiritual areas and sites and stuff like that. And so he came up with an idea. When he got back to New York, he grew out his hair and grew out his beard and put on this like the little outfits, the shawls, the long, look like, the dress, the Jesus dress. And he went out to Central Park and sat there and started meditating and oming, and guess what happened? He started gathering a little crowd. We talking like 2016. This ain't back in the day. He's talking today's time. He started gathering a little crowd. And he starts speaking with a heavy Indian accent, sounding like a guru. Well, the key to happiness is to look into the light. And and people start following him. Next thing you know, he has this following, and he has secret cameras, and he's documenting the whole thing. And now he goes from the church to a building, and they're donating money to him and following him, and he's like making shit up on the fly. Making up prayers, making up chants, doing rap songs as his chants, but doing it in an Indian accent, and they don't know. And at the end of the show, he comes in as his regular self, and like, you guys got basically punked. I'm just a regular dude. And they're like, you know what? Some walked out. 3 or 4 like was appalled and walked out. You know what the rest did? He got a standing ovation. That's brilliant. That's how cold priming is. They still was down with this dude. He's like, the show's over. Like, I was trying to tell you that, and you know what he would do in this the whole time? They would say, come to him and like, can you help? And he would say, I am not your guru. I am not your guru. You are a guru. We know the same. I know nothing. And they say, oh, that's so brilliant. But he was just keeping it 100, fucking with him. Priming is how you move in this world. Understand it. Use it in your business. If you don't have a crowd, that means your priming sucks. If you don't have a crowd, your priming sucks. It's the truth. There's too much you and not enough them. Next slide. Framing. So, framing is another one. The media is a master at framing. News outlets are a master at framing. You need to study this and become a master at it too in your business. What framing is you, as a business, you create presuppositions to get your audience or your team or your children or your customers, present, past, or future customers, to have a certain belief with a presupposition. So you want them to presuppose something is already true. So an example of framing is What's a good example? So here's an example of framing. If I say, I'll give you a better example. So earlier on with Courtsmith, we wanted to gather data. We wanted email addresses because we want to be able to send newsletters and email blast out to our customers, right? And so when we had stores, somebody would come up to us and they asked for a receipt, right? And so we would have somebody in the corner saying, "Would you like to sign up for our email newsletters?" Always no. Would you like to sign up? Would you like to give us your email to sign up for our email newsletter? No, thank you. I don't want to. Would you like to sign up? And it was hella no's, few yeses. When I learned this, I said, fuck that. This is what we're going to do. After the sale, we're going to ask the customer, would you like your receipt emailed to you or text to you? What did I just do? We put them in a frame. Now you're in a frame and you only got two choices. Both choices benefit me. So 99% of the time, they pick one of the two, which gives us their information either way. 1% of the time, they say, "Oh no, I'm good. I don't want a receipt," which changed the whole trajectory of us just by adding that little question. So basically, framing is creating presuppositions. The media does it. A lot of us, we notice the patterns in the media. Say when, it used to be way more prevalent when, say, a black kid or a black person got charged with a crime, and the presuppositions they put in that sentence on the news media or an outlet, and it was thug or this or that, like this thug or whatever. And so another kid it happened to, and the wording is different because framing is everything. If I can get you to bypass the basics to jump inside my frame, I'm already got you. I'm halfway there. If I say, does it bother you that Josh is an asshole? What I'm saying is, I want you to bypass the fact that you even ask if he's one. Then you stop even debating whether or not he's an asshole because I put you in the frame of not is he, but does it bother you that he is? You see how framing works? That's why when you see a book that says 7 steps to financial freedom, it's framing you to say there are only 7, and I got it in this book. So if you buy something and they put you on reoccurring payments automatically, and you have to opt out of the reoccurring payments, that they're putting you in a frame. When you were a kid and your parents was like, "What's wrong with you?" It's not the question, is there something wrong with you? The question is, what is it? I'm bypassing the fact, we getting past the fact that something is wrong or is not. We overriding that. It's what's the problem? So in business, you can use that to get way closer to conversion rates with your customers. So if there's a question that says, what's the secret to Pinpoint's training success? See how powerful that is? Because not everybody, most people will bypass the question, does she even have training success? And go with, I wonder, what is it? What is it? Is it her experience? Is it this? Is it her employees? They're already down the road. When a lot of you guys in business are trying to play the game of fairness. This is all businesses. When it comes to branding, priming, anchoring, framing, is pretty much the most of the ingredients. So framing is as a goal is how you position your company, even position everything in your life in a way that allows you to skip steps. So you want to incept in the customer's mind the value that you add. And framing helps you skip hella steps. What's your secret? Sometimes people will answer it and they don't even have one. Well, shit, and think of some shit. So understand use framing as well. Think about all the times in the past that you were framed. Think about all the times in the past where you framed others and concentrate that in business and use it. And that's going to be talked about more. But I want to give the ones who don't know this the intro to it. And if you know it and you ain't been using it, shame on you. Your business can make leaps and bounds by using this. Next slide. Anchoring. All right, so let's try some shit. I don't give a fuck about failure, so if it don't work, it don't work. But let's try some shit. So everyone who wrote down their numbers, 1 to 10, right? Who wrote a low number? Who wrote a high number? Okay, so let's take you, Albert. Albert's PhD, so nothing gets past him. So if this shit work, it work. So high number, low number, right? High number, low number. All right. So the reason why I don't even want to know their numbers is because I don't even want to taint this experiment. So for you two, I got a question for you. If someone got caught stealing a car, valued over $50K vehicle, how much time in prison should they get? So write the number in years, write the number down next to your number. Okay, got it? So, what was your number? What was your number 1 to 10? 7. And what was your number for years? 2 to 3 years. What's your number, Albert? What's your number 1 to 10? No, don't. No. What's the number you chose earlier? Earlier I chose 2. And what was the time? All right. So the idea of anchoring, this is what makes anchoring powerful. Is that U.S. judges can't even bypass anchoring. That's how powerful it is. And when I say that is, once you get a number anchored in your mind, it's hard to pull away from that anchor because your sense of fairness is buoyed to your anchor. Your sense of fairness is buoyed to the anchor. So in negotiation, anchoring is everything. In negotiation, anchoring is everything. So depending on whatever side of the negotiation coin you're on, You want to anchor high or low. So how this works is this. You ever walk into a department store and you see the tag on the garment that you want to buy and it says $89.99, and then you see a slash next across it and then it says $29.99? Immediately you release cortisone, dopamine, all kind of shit in your brain because you feel like you won. Because they anchored you high. They anchored you high and then gave you that price. So and a lot of times nobody even cares. If you go to Macy's right now, it's all like that. If you go to Marshall's, it's all like that. Why don't they just put the new price on there? Because you won't have an anchor. When you used to buy cars and then the dude kept coming back, slashing, going to see his manager, slashing, going to see his manager, slashing, they were trying to find your anchor. They were trying to find your number, but they had to start with an anchor. Anchoring is one of the best tools you can use in business for your pricing and your negotiation. You always want to have anchors present. So if you don't want to do the slash pricing shit, then you have other things on the menu that show up first, more expensive. That's why in a restaurant, all the most expensive meals are at the top, and then they have the cheap stuff at the bottom and what they want you to buy in the middle. Why? Because they're anchoring you. When you're in negotiation, prepare for anchoring, to anchor them and for them to try to anchor you. So you got to put your number in your head, all right, and then work backwards from there. Okay, shit, all right, I only want to pay $1,000 for this. So that means I'm going to start super low and anchor up. How you collapse an anchor is when somebody starts super high, you start super low. And then you say, well, you know what? Let's just meet in the middle. And in the middle was your number anyway. Or if you have, like I said, if you have a menu, never just have the price. Create other products. Even if you do low quantities of the products just to have them, but have other products to create anchors for you in business. When I first started off on the apparel side, I had a menu. It was a pricing. It was a pricing I wanted to price. That was my price. Prices was price. And I used to get sometimes some people who cried and complained about the price, even though it was excellent pricing. Go to Nike.com and see what the fuck you get over there. My prices are way better than Nike. No, I was thinking wrong. I was right and wronging. The same reason why JCPenney's slashed their prices on the tag was the same reason why I started creating different tiers of products in my own brand. So here's a high tier, and here's a mid tier, here's a low tier. You pop it in, you're going to see the high stuff, and then you're going to see the other stuff. Guess what was happening, though? The social currency people was buying out the high stuff. The people who wanted to separate themselves from the crowd, they was buying it up. Oh, shit. So you also create another revenue stream for yourself. Anchoring is a powerful, powerful, powerful tool that when you use all three of these in conjunction, your business looks completely different. Because that's why we say if somebody's racist, they prejudge you, they perceive low self-value to you, they have low expectations for you, they can be manipulated like a motherfucker. Oh, man. And once I saw the power of it, it was like candy from a baby. It's candy from a baby. It was taking candy from a baby. Because they're so apt to be manipulated because they believe they own bullshit. They're committed to these beliefs. And once you step outside of those beliefs for a moment for them, you look like a magician. You look special. You look different. You look, well, I am racist, but you're different. Not you. Man, write that check. Because the amount of magic tricks that it seems like you're doing in their brain, they think you're special. You just priming, framing, and anchoring. That's why when they walk into your spot, your place of business, anything, and they're known to value you low, oh man, it's go time. It's go time. Oh man, shit. This is nice. Oh, okay, I got you. Somebody comes, hey, would you like something to drink? Oh, sure. What kind of water you want? You want regular water, bubbly water, bottle, room temperature, not room temperature, cold? What? You're fucking them up. You're blowing their mind. So all of those tools, those are tools that are effective tools. They're not there just because. They all have a purpose. Like we talked about last week, colors. The reason why there's particular colors on logos is not because, like, they don't think like a lot of beginning entrepreneurs think. Oh, I like the color blue, so my logo gonna be blue. No, it's all calculated and thought out. Because they're priming you for a particular reason. So the color of that logo is the beginning of the prime. The sharpness of the edges of that font is also priming you. The way the font is slanting to the right or to the left or straight up is priming you. The name of that company is priming you. So once you step out of your own frame and realize that every fucking touch point of everything is an opportunity for you to prime, that's the difference between us and those companies. That's some cold shit. Albert? Yeah. Yeah, grab the mic.
Test, yeah, I think so. No, I just wanted to annotate from the exercise. What's so cold about it is that it involved framing, and you did it so kind of like smoothly. The question was presupposing that incarceration is an appropriate response to vehicle theft.
Yes.
And like, that's the shit I think about at work, right? But when you asked the question, I immediately thought of a number, and I said, damn, that shit's powerful, because it's not you already framed it, and I couldn't stop my brain from saying, I don't believe that we should use incarceration. It was like 2 years. Yo, that shit's cold,
It's a cold game. Presupposition is a cold game. So then that's man, it's always a hood person in your family or in the hood who is naturally good at this stuff. And it looks like they move around on another frequency. I had a big homie like that, man. He had lint in his pocket, and you go out with him, and you would think he was a multimillionaire, because the way he dressed, his mouthpiece, he was so smooth. The way he talked, the way he smiled at people, we would get carte blanche. The front of the club, VIP. Next thing you know, we in the bottle service, getting bottles. Now we at the Warriors game, 3 rows back, and like, what the fuck? He didn't pull out $1. And not only for him, but for me too. Smooth. And the other thing about it is, he wasn't the most handsome dude either. He was a funny looking dude. But the way he primed you, he stopped looking funny. You thought he was handsome. That's the power of this shit. Let's I'm gonna read this from one of the books. It's a good lesson in anchoring. It's funny too. It says, "Dear Mother and Dad." It's a letter from a girl to her. She's in college and she's wrote a letter to her parents. Since I left for college, I've been remiss in writing, and I am sorry for my thoughtlessness and not having written before. I will bring you up to date now, but before you read on, please sit down. You're not to read any further unless you're sitting down, okay? Well, then, I'm getting along pretty well now. The skull fracture and the concussions I got when I jumped out of the window of my dormitory when it caught fire shortly after my arrival here is pretty well healed now. I only spent 2 weeks in the hospital, and now I can see almost normally and only get those sick headaches once a day. Fortunately, the fire in the dormitory and my jump was witnessed by an attendant at the gas station near the dorm, and he was the one who called the fire department and the ambulance. He also visited me in the hospital, and since I had nowhere to live because of the burnt-out dormitory, he was kind enough to invite me to share his apartment with him. It's really a basement room, but it's kind of cute. He's a very fine boy, and we have fallen deeply in love and are planning to get married. We haven't got the exact date yet, but it will be before my pregnancy begins to show. Yes, Mother and Dad, I'm pregnant. I know how much you're looking forward to being grandparents, and I know you will welcome the baby and give it the same love and devotion and tender care you gave me when I was a child. The reason for the delay in our marriage is that my boyfriend has a minor infection, which prevents us from passing our premarital blood test, and I carelessly caught it from him. Now that I've brought you up to date, I want to tell you that there's no dormitory fire. I did not have a concussion or skull fracture. I was not in the hospital. I'm not pregnant. I'm not engaged. I'm not infected, and there is no boyfriend. However, I am getting a D in American history and an F in chemistry, and I want you to see those marks in their proper perspective. Your loving daughter, Sharon. Masterful anchoring. Anchor, 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 anchor. I'm getting a D and an F. Oh shit, I ain't tripping now. You see what I'm saying? Versus, I'm getting a D and an F. What the fuck is going? What? I'm paying for this school. I'm paying all that money for you to be in school, and you're getting D's and F. Like, think about it. So, anchoring is a powerful tool. Can you use these powers for bad? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Can you use these tools to manipulate for your own personal advantage? Absolutely. But that's up to you and your own integrity, in your own relationship with whatever higher power you have to not do that shit. But in business, as long as the promises you make to the customer are valid and real, and you deliver on those promises, then go get them. Go anchor, go prime, go frame. Because in negotiation, this is the wild. This is the wild. Imagine a person walked up to negotiate with you and be like, well, you know what? You're selling something, and they walk up to you and say, well, shit, I don't even really like these cars. I just came because my girlfriend wants it, but I'm trying to talk her into something else. What happens to you then when you're really trying to sell something? That number in your head starts dropping down. Oh, no, but wait, no. Well, let me try to give him a lower price. You just started with you just started with a low anchor. I don't really even want it. It makes people reach out to you, reach towards you. So then you throw out a number. Well, shit, I'll give it to you for $500 because I got like 3 cars already. I don't really need this, but I drove all the way out here. I'll give you like $500 for it. but it says it's for sale for $3,500. All right, well, it ain't no big deal to me. So then you go back and forth. And finally he says, shit, well, look, you're a good dude. Let's just meet in the middle. You're exhausted, negotiate. You're exhausted. You can some people get easily fall and be susceptible in situations like that. It happens to the best of us sometimes. So practice these tools. These are crazy. These are game changers. These three changed the trajectory of my company. It changed the whole lens of my business. Last one. Law of reciprocation. So the law of reciprocation is an internal trigger that us humans have. It's embedded in our psychology, our DNA. To supersede the law of reciprocation, you have to consciously practice it. So there is a reason, we talked about this slightly, there is a reason why in Costco, there's free samples everywhere, all day. There's free samples everywhere all day, not because they like you. They don't give a shit about you. They know that the percentage of people who buy is going to offset whatever they gave out for free, because it's going to trigger the law of reciprocation in a person. Most people like to even the score. They don't like voids or vacuums. So if you one up on a person, a lot of times that competitive nature that people have will force them internally to try to do something to equalize it. Or you give me something, now I owe you, now I'm indebted to you, then I gotta give something back because I don't like that. I don't like you holding something over on me because you did something nice for me. So the law of reciprocation states that whatever you give comes back. Whatever you give comes back. And it's a true law. So massive religions have been built on the law of reciprocation. Jehovah's Witness religion has been built on the law of reciprocation. I don't know if you guys remember early on in the 80s, right? They try to slang books. But if you didn't take a book, what'd they give you? A small little thing. A little fold-out thing. Here, just, okay, cool. Well, then, you know what? Take this, read it. And what the goal is for there to be something in that fold-out that touches your heart. What's the price you would pay for something to touch your heart? Now your brain starts calculating, and now you're willing to give your devotion to it because that free tract with a beautiful scripture inside or something that touched you changed you inside, and now you feel like you owe that person. That's how gurus get followers. That's how religions get followers. That's how recording artists get fans. That's how companies get customers. If you give something that touches somebody emotionally, and if it has an emotional impact, that's how relationships get toxic. That's how relationships get codependent. There's women who stay in relationships. I know this is about to hurt a little bit to some. There's women who will stay in a fucked up, shitty, toxic relationship because maybe that man came through for her in her time of darkness. So over time, his toxicness came to the surface And it was clear that she shouldn't be with this person, but she can't let go of the fact that he had her back when she didn't have shit. That's the law of reciprocation, folks, kicking in. I owe him. I owe him. We don't owe each other shit. We don't owe each other shit. We don't owe each other shit. But the law of reciprocation internally don't say that. It's like, I gotta. This guru gave me some game. So now I've just gotta come by the church and mop the floor for him every day and just be there. That's all law of reciprocation. Hare Krishners built their whole religion on that. They used to give out flowers. Here's a flower at airports. Here's a flower. Oh, thank you. Oh, so beautiful. Any kind of thing, any organization that hands out flowers to people has to be good. So even if I were to walk past you now, I'm at least give you a listening ear. Law of reciprocation. 30-day trials, free 30-day trials, free seminars. The goal in the seminar game is, and I was taught this by the people who bamboozled me in the seminar game. The goal in the seminar game is in that free seminar to give some motherfucking fire, life-changing game for law reciprocation purposes. Because if I can say something that you walk away with that changes you or gives you a crazy light bulb, then in your brain you say, all right, well, I'll pay for the next little thing. Because not even because I would, but because he already got so much. Kicks in. I remember I was a big Tony Robbins fan, right? Early on, big Tony Robbins fan. And I got a bootleg copy of his shit. I didn't even pay for it. Somebody, what they call it back then, dubbing it. No, it wasn't even Fire Stick. It was burning it. They burned me a copy on some CDs, right? In my brain, I gained so much game from that when I got a bag, I picked the biggest thing. How much was it? 20, 30, 40K? Here, I didn't even show up. Because my guilt said, man, this thing changed your life. Which, that's all internal. It's not the true, real story. The law of reciprocation kicking in. So use this in business. Do you have free samples to give? Do you have free sessions to give? Do you have, hey, I'm going to give you this free workout, which is going to also free up some of that nagging injury shit that wasn't before, and now you got free range of motion. What value would you place on free range of motion? Give me a number. It's invaluable. So whatever price that Shekinah throws out after that is reasonable. That's how they get you in the seminars too. If I can give you some game that'll make you a millionaire, what's $10,000 paying me $10,000 going to do? It's nothing, right? You're going to pay me that $10,000 one time. That $1 million worth of game I gave you is going to happen every year. So this is a low price. Anchored, million, then hit you with the 10, and then took the 10 as valuable. I mean, the 10 seems invaluable based on what you got. Plus law of reciprocation, because I already gave you a whole bunch of nuggets, a game that you can walk out and use right now. I mean, is it just me or is this some amazing, crazy shit? It's real. This is what gets used. And use it in your business. Marketing companies, branders, big corporations, they have departments that learn this shit specifically at all times. And they just they're sitting there tweaking. That's what A, B, and C tests are. on Instagram and Facebook ads. All they're doing is changing colors on things, slightly changing wording. I'm changing the ad from a white lady to a black woman. I'm moving it. I'm taking her from having a perm to braids. I'm just tweaking these things. Oh, I got a huge spike in sales. Okay, this is the wave. If you're not playing that game, if you're playing the I'm doing this because I like it game still, then fuck. You're going to look the same next year. Everything about your business is going to be the same. And you're going to be kicking yourself wondering why you have these amazing products and no customers. Any questions on this before we move on and out of it? Online is good? Go ahead.
Online is good. I had a question for you. When you think about commercials today, what's a commercial, like a popular commercial that we would all see, that you looked at recently and you said, yeah, they did it. They did that real dope?
It's hard for me because I don't watch too much TV. So, but I'll say this, because that's a great point. In the 90s, this shit got so powerful that the government banned it. They banned the use of the combination of these styles in commercials. They banned it. Anchoring, priming, framing, all at the same time. Created a pleasure and pain, there was a term for it, but it was about pleasure and pain marketing. And when these in combinations is so powerful that they banned it. So when you see it, you see it. If you don't see it, which most of us don't see it, that's when we're fucked. That's when we're fucked. We rarely see it because we're rarely conscious enough to see it. Because if somebody can trigger you early on and get you to bypass your logical thought and jump into emotion, man, they got you. You can be the smartest, well-educated, read psychologist and still get duped. Straight up. All I have to do is just hit one of your triggers. I'm going to tell you some shit. Don't judge me, all right? So around the time I was looking for getting therapy. So I got referred to a therapist. So cool, I'm going through different therapists trying to find one. PhD. I walk into the office and she's gorgeous. Oh, shit. She's fine as hell. So I'm like, all right, this is probably not going to work. But I'm not going to not leave this first session. We'll just have the first session. Plus, I think I might hold back some of my real shit because she fine. And a part of me will hold back just for maybe there's some hope out there, right? So I want to give her everything. So then I'm like, so she gets to talking and I'm realizing, man, she is amazing. She's amazing. I'm not going to think like that because I think she could probably help me. So I said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell her all the dark shit that I've done, that I'm doing, so that fucks it up right there. So she judged me for it and we just keep it business. That didn't happen. Guess what I ended up doing? Because no matter how smart you are, no matter how much education, no matter what your rules are, if somebody knows this shit and they use it, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's just, it's that powerful. It's hard. So it doesn't, and the thing is, the smarter you think you are, the more intelligent you think you are, the more susceptible you are to it, the more vulnerable you are to it. Anybody can get it. Anybody. Anybody standing here. Anybody. So that's why we preach to you that use your system 2, go into manual mode and use your system 2 and say, man, that sounds great. This sounds wonderful, but I'm going to take some time to think about it. So you can really process it the right way, process it through the right filter. That's like, that's how powerful this is. All right. Emotional agility. Let's go back and talk about the bottler some more. Let's do it.
The bottler will try to unhook by pushing emotions to the side and getting on with things. They're likely to shove away unwanted feelings because those feelings are uncomfortable or distracting, or because they think that being anything less than bright and chipper is a sign of weakness or a surefire way to alienate those around them.
Right. So bottlers, a lot of times bottlers tend to be us, men. Bottle it. We got shit to do. I ain't got time. So we bottle. Bottle. We moving and sticking and moving. So we push it to the side. And so when you shove away feelings because you're supposed to be a man and you don't process the feelings because you're raised to not cry, not be emotional, suck it up, keep it pushing, what tends to happen is you set yourself up for an outburst later. Because you're not processing it. And you have all these bottles. I may have mistakenly said it last week. But the truth is, majority of this tends to be us men. All these bottles. And sometimes you don't realize you bottle things until that bottle pops open in front of you and there's a situation. You have to understand that we have to process the emotion. That's why we have to show up to it. The minute you allow yourself to take that deep breath and process and show up to it and be present to where you are or what your feeling is, then there's no bottling that occurs because you're learning to real time process it. You ever watching a basketball game? I don't know if you've seen the scene when Patrick Beverly pushed Chris Paul in the back hella hard. And it was the end of a game. He pushed him with all his might. Chris Paul's, the back of his head touched his back. And that does not come from one incident. What typically happens is he's been getting agitated all game. And he doesn't have the processing system to run that through. You bottle. Bottling is dangerous as an entrepreneur because if you have employees and you've been bottling things, sometimes without realizing it, you will justify taking it out on employees or other people around you, and it has nothing to do with them and everything to do with just happened yesterday or 2 days ago, but you bottled it. When I was a kid, I wasn't a good capper, right? It's 8 of us, 8 brothers and sisters, and I'm the youngest. And my family was the king roaster capper, cap sessions on each other, and I just couldn't think that fast. So And they have all this funny ass shit to say, and I was a funny looking kid, so I had hella shit to cap on. But I've realized early I'm not good at this game. I can't think of nothing quick. You old big camel toe looking motherfucker. Couldn't think of that shit. So I would sit there and just take it and take another one and take another one and take another one. And I see everybody busting up laughing and take another one and take another one. And by like the 7th one, I'm biting somebody. That's all I had was violence. Because that's what bottling is. So then it became funny. Like, all right, well, Courtney is so easy to set off because he can't process this shit. We just joking. We're just having fun. It's just capping. There's nothing like, okay, well, teach me how to do it then. All you do is, and this is what they do, all you do is just say something funny about the person. It's a funny story. So I'm like, all right, okay, your turn. All right, well, to my sister, that's why you got a whooping yesterday because you got caught not washing the back of your neck. They say, well, it's not, don't say the true shit, like, say funny shit. Or all right, what the boy you like called you fat. That's real shit. That's hurtful. You know what I'm saying? Then they say, no, try something else. All right, well, that's why you had a girl sneaking out your room last night. That's snitching, motherfucker. Like, don't say that either. So I'm like, I'm not good at this shit. But I was known as the bottler, and I still sometimes struggle with it. I still sometimes struggle with it. It's not something that you're going to read a book, you're going to learn, and now you're good at it, and now you're never a bottler again. You're going to continually have to work it. Work on yourself, process it, think through it. Next slide.
Brooders stew in their misery. Okay. Brooders stew in their misery, endlessly stirring the pot. They can't let it go as they obsess over the hurt, a failure, shortcoming, or anxiety.
Okay, so brooders go down this rabbit hole of feeling and thinking. And what creates the destruction of this is that they'll stew endlessly on the misery. Here's an example. Like, intro brooding is like, I can't believe that person hurt me. What was I thinking? I can't believe that person hurt me. And then the next level of brooding is like, I can't believe that I was hurt by that person hurting me. We'll be hurt. We'll think about being hurt that we're hurt. And it'll continue down that cycle of never-ending possibilities. And now brooding will take up all your time and energy. And it starts innocent. Brooding starts innocent because you say, okay, I want to think through this. I want to process this. So it starts with good intentions because you want to process a situation, a feeling, an emotion, something that happened. But where it gets dangerous is when we start overthinking, and the brooding exists when we get caught in our own emotional traps. Next slide.
Is happiness the key? Given a choice, we'd probably prefer to be happy all the time. And there are advantages to that pleasurable state. More positive emotion is linked with a lower risk of various psychological illnesses, including depression, anxiety, and borderline personality disorder.
Okay, let's stop here. So, again, if we talk about brooding a little bit, understand that from an entrepreneurial standpoint, brooding, you're caught in your emotion. Business decisions have to be in non-emotional spaces. They have to be effective. Business decisions have to be effective. They have to work. So your right and wrong and your feelings about the situation or yourself or a customer or what somebody did, that's noise. Sometimes people get irritated with me because they'll come to me with a problem at work and it'll start with what a customer did and said and how it made them feel. Listen, stop. Let's get to the part of what's the problem and what is our solution. Now, transitioning into this slide, you think about just living in life as a whole. You think about happiness, right? Most of us have an idea of we just want to be happy, right? I just want to be happy. I want to have a happy relationship. I want to have a happy life. I want what I do for work to make me happy. I want my spouse to make me. I want this to make. I just want to be happy. I want to pursue happiness. Feels good to say, right? Feels good to say. And the truth is, of course, there's plenty and many benefits to being happy. Health-wise, psychological, the benefits of your children, if they are in a happy environment. Psychological illnesses, positive emotions is linked to those things. Longer life, you live longer. But let's keep reading, and then we're going to show the dichotomy of it.
Positive emotions also drive us to success, help us make better decisions, reduce the risk of disease, and allow us to live longer. In some cases, they even help broaden how we think and act by directing our attention to new information and opportunities. They help build vital social, physical, and cognitive resources that lead to positive outcomes and affiliations.
Okay, so happiness is a staple in who we need to be as humans. It's a known fact that if babies are born and they sit there and they don't have human contact after they're born, they can literally die. And babies who are brought to their mother and have lots of physical contact, nurturing, and love energy, they have a higher probability of living and being more healthy. So that the energy of positivity and happiness, we need it. We absolutely need it. Let's go to the next slide.
With all this, you might presume happiness ranks right up there with food and sunshine in its contribution to human well-being. But as our increasingly obese, melanoma-afflicted society has come to understand, it is possible to have too much of a good thing.
Okay, so it's even possible to have too much of that. Ain't that some shit? This is probably one of the first times, first time you're reading this book or interacting in this class, that you've ever heard that. Ever. That it's possible to have to be too blissed out. It's crazy, huh? It is possible to be too. Now, think about the bell curve of everything. So everything has a bell curve, even happiness. Let's keep reading.
And research shows it's possible not only to be too happy, but also to experience the wrong types of happiness, and to go about trying to find happiness at the wrong time and in the wrong ways.
Real shit. Have you ever have this ever hit you? Have you ever thought about it this way? It is possible to overload yourself with too much happiness and then to a point to where it becomes destructive for your life. Because the damage starts occurring when your main mission in life, your purpose in life is to pursue happiness. Then you're chasing happiness all the time. You're in this chase of happiness like it's a high. When in actuality, let's keep going.
When we're overly cheerful, we tend to neglect important threats and dangers. It's not too big a stretch to suggest that being excessively happy could kill you.
Shh. Have you ever thought about that? So, yeah, read it again.
When we're overly cheerful, we tend to neglect important threats and dangers. It's not too big a stretch to suggest that being excessively happy could kill you.
So think about this. Too much happiness can create too many blind spots for you that could be averted, manipulated, taken advantage of, and now you're done. You're done. And this is a lot of times, in some degree, how empires fall. They get too happy. So when Babylon fell, they fell drunk. And they drunk and partying. That's how they fell. You look at the society we live in America. It's having a tough time right now. Is because we've positioned ourselves in this social justice world that everything has to feel good and be happy, and nobody has to be picked on or talked about or feel any kind of discomfort or pain. It's in the over pursuit of happiness.
Mm-hmm. I was actually, thank you for saying that, because I was going to ask you if you felt like this had anything to do with social justice and the conversation around that. And do you think that this also has anything to do with like the prevalence of drugs like fentanyl? Now it's like all kind of things in our community. Weed, which I understand is a herb, but we just read too much of a good thing is not good.
Yes, so there's a spectrum. There's an emotional spectrum, right? So I like the Abraham Hicks version. Don't look that up. But there's 22 emotions, right? Depression at the bottom, joy at the top. Now, if you're in the situation where you're using these things to emerge yourself out of depression, that's in your brain the fix. You're trying to pull yourself out of depressed states, negative emotions, to bring you to a neutral or some sort of positive, because drugs give you an instant euphoria. It releases the chemicals in your brain, feel-good chemicals. That's what drugs do. They release feel-good chemicals in your brain. Dopamine, that's why they call it dope, because it releases dopamine, which feels good, almost orgasmic. Now, I would tend to say a lot of times people who get caught in this race, in this trap, is, say, a person who's in a relationship, good life. Her significant other, her man, worships the ground she walks on, takes care of her. And she has a good life. But you know, he's not a boss. He's not a baller. He's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not an alpha. And I like, when I watch on TV, I'm attracted to those kind of dudes. And this guy's just kind of like, he's just kind of like, he's good to me. He treats me wonderful, but I want to go higher. I want another level. To me, those are the traps. Is that you're always seeking something outside of what's in you. Because what you guys got to understand, and some of you know, is that there's no such thing as external happiness. The happiness you want has to be created in you right now, wherever situation you're in, whoever you with, whatever you driving, whatever car you have, whatever house you have, whatever money you have, whatever job, business, whatever you have. None of that shit's gonna make you happy. Your happiness has to be developed with inside of you right now in your situation right now. And that's the biggest misconception and biggest trap. When you learn to love yourself, accept yourself, love your body, accept your body, accept who you are, love who you are. Be grateful for who you are and where you come from. Find joy in any situation. That's how you build internal happiness. And then you're happy. And you could be working at McDonald's and you're happy. You could be a millionaire and you're happy. You could be a billionaire, you're happy. You could be middle class and you're happy. You could drive a Benz and you're happy. You could drive a Datsun and you're happy. You can be the most beautiful to the outside world person in the world and you're happy. And you can be the most not beautiful to people and you're happy. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes your life good, is your internal happiness, not the external.
I want to get a little bit of this. Recently, I've been doing, getting ready for the second half of the class, and I want to add to that happiness thing. Many of us can't find happiness because we're seeking happiness. And the reason we can't find happiness because we're seeking happiness, we will be in an event that makes us happy or at a moment that's make us happy, but we're too busy reflecting on, does this make me happy, that we don't become happy. All right, we're so overdriven and committed to discovering happiness that we don't exist in the moment that creates happiness. The other thing too is that another thing that can help you maintain a higher level of real, true happiness is serve something that's meaningful to yourself. If you're not doing anything meaningful, then it's very hard to discover happiness. So happiness is really tied to, like in the past we would say purpose, but the better description is find something that's very meaningful for you, or do something that's very meaningful. It doesn't have to be necessary. You can just find something that you find very meaningful. It doesn't have to be at your highest level of what is meaningful to you, and that will help produce internal happiness. Because when you place, the reason so many people relationship to success is so horribly skewed, because you're still defining happiness externally. So you're saying, when I get this, I will be happy. When I marry this, I will be happy. And so as long as you continue to tie that, you don't realize it's like a full circle of his whole lesson. Framing, anchoring, and priming is happening to you at all times, and it's totally uncontrollable by you because you've given up all your power by making everything external. Once you discover that internal happiness, you'll find you'll stop leaking financially so much. You will gain your self-control, and you'll remove a lot of toxic things from your life. But you don't even have the ability to do any of those things. Because going back to that concept of where I talked about the ego and being hypnotized on stage, and how the people become victimized by their ego and not wanting to disconnect from these ideas because these ideas give them value and meaning. Once again, if you pay attention to that, something external is giving them value and meaning. That person who's trying to run a game on them don't have the same power to discover the value and meaning within self. So seeking happiness is like walking down the street with your cell phone and taking pictures of everything, but never being in the moment that the moment is producing. You're too busy on your phone trying to capture the moment, right? And so happiness is that hunt for happiness becomes so mentally overwhelming to a point that you can't gain it. And so also, last thing, happiness is not meant to be a full-time feeling. It comes and goes. It comes and goes. It's almost like, okay, forgive me those, and put your hands over your children's ears. That's sort of like trying to have a 24-hour orgasm. It's not meant to be that. It's not. Hey, some of you guys, calm down back there. Some of you, put your hands down, ladies. Put your hands down. The thing is this, but it's a complementary life. Life is this complex balance, and so trying to be addicted to happiness is almost trying to throw life out of balance for yourself. And so you're not supposed to always be. It's better to seek meaning than seek happiness.
Yeah. So, first time I got a bag. First time I got a bag. Before that, I dreamed that my life would be great once I became a millionaire. Just that was the vision. My life is gonna be great. I'm gonna be happy then. I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna be happy then. So I accumulated these things: the beautiful wife and the 2 kids and all these Huxtable looking shit. And I figured, this'll make me happy. One of the biggest waves of depression that I hit was after I became a millionaire the first time. Because I realized that none of that shit it was false. It didn't make me happy. And I brooded. I was depressed because I was depressed that I wasn't happy. Because I'm like, I shouldn't be this depressed. I should be happy because I got this money. So I'm more fucked up. Because I hadn't yet learned that happiness is created in here. So when I went through that desert of being on EBT and being broke and not having shit and not having people around me, not having a circle, the first thing that I decided to do before I started accumulating anything was learn how to be happy. With me, with nothing, right here, walking with an EBT card in my wallet, with no car, with no place to live, just learned happiness, learn how to love myself. And the question I will always ask is, what's good about this? What's good about this? If I really look closely, what's actually good about this? Why do I love myself? Why? What is it about you that you love? See, you can use anchors on yourself. You can use presuppositions on yourself by asking the question, what do you love about yourself? It bypasses the fact that, do I love myself or don't I? What do you love about yourself? What's amazing about this? What's good about this moment? And know this. Happiness is not this emotion, this cloud that comes down upon you and now you're happy. Being happy is an accumulation of small moments that over time, those moments are more moments than when you're not. But it's little moments. If you're like, well, when I go to Cancun, I'm going to be happy. That's 1 week out of the year. When you wake up and that person that you love made your favorite meal, or your child gives you a hug and tells you that they love you and you're the best parent in the world, you add those up. You add those up. You add those up. When you look back on your life and realize how resilient you are and things that you've overcame and where you are in life and the parents that you had and the childhood that you add those moments, because the happiness has to come in day to day. The other 351 weeks that you got to be at home and at work, if you're going in autopilot just to wait for that 1 week to go on vacation, of course you're going to be miserable. But when you're present with the moment you have now, and you got a friend that's been your friend since 5th grade, like, what? You got a good ass life. When you still live in California and everybody's moving out because it's so expensive, you still live in the Bay, man, you're dope. There's so much to look at yourself internally and find happiness. But it has to be in the little moments. And you got to, like Nana said, the minute you stop looking for happiness and start being internal, that's when you find it. If you single and lonely, I put money on the books that no matter who, whatever ideal spouse you have in your head or significant other, if you got that person, it's not going to make you happy. I guarantee it. And you have a high probability of losing that person if you ain't happy yourself. The fuck did I get myself into? You become a codependent mess because you're attaching your happiness to another person? That's a dangerous risk. Let's continue going. Go ahead.
If you got a minute to think out loud, how do you trying to form this in a way that makes sense? It seems like a pitfall or a risk is to become overly individualistic, as if turning inward is the goal. Like how do you avoid losing sight of maybe like the collective, the social component of what it means to be human?
Well, you can't add value to a social collective if you don't maximize your own personal value first. You have to. You have to. You can't help the poor if you're one of them. So you have to internally maximize your value, know yourself. So first you got to know yourself. I recommend everybody go inward first. If you don't love yourself and you don't have a relationship with yourself yet, don't even think about trying to find a partner. What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Or if you don't have a system, a rhythm, a routine, a pattern of progressiveness internally, start with yourself. Like, you have zero control of anybody outside of yourself. So start with you first and maximize your machine. Sometimes people will think that's a martyr mentality a lot of times, is that people will put so many other people first that they'll sacrifice themselves. And now you're not even being good to the collective because you can only give 20% because you don't even know who you are. You don't even know yourself. But if I go back in my cave and I work on my shit, and now I walk out of this cave at 98%, even if I give 50% to the collective, that's still double what I was giving before. Understand this, the collective is going to be fine. It's not that the collective, this universe, this world needs you. They don't need you. The collective don't need you. The community don't need you. Because any void that gets removed, the universe abhors a vacuum. That vacuum will get filled. Go dig a hole right now in your backyard or whatever and come back 6 months later. That hole is going to be filled. How? With life, with dust. Rain, dust some more, wind, dust some more, wind, because the way the universe operates is that it always fills its voids. So if you back up for a while, it'll be fine. But guess what? If you power up, the goal is what value can we add to this world? It's not how can I fill the void and just step in. It's going to get filled. The way you fulfill your mission and your purpose is you become powerful. So now you add value. That means the world is just a little bit better now you in the game. A little bit better. 0.1%. That's still dope as fuck. That's still amazing. It was going to be fine before, but when I came in the game, it leveled up just 0.0001%. What? So that means when you croak, whoever you answer to, y'all fist bump. Yeah, you did that. Yeah, thank you. That was raw. and you came from like a raggedy ass background, that was dope. That's the goal. Like, he brings out an amazing point, is that a lot of times we get comfortable with filling the gaps or mediocrity. But the goal and our purpose is to add value. If I go to somebody to negotiate, or I want to do business with them, and I say, hey, who's doing your uniforms now? And they say, well, how would you rate them? I'll rate them a 7. And I say, hey, guess what? If you ditch them, come fuck with me. I'll be a 7 too. That don't even make sense, right? Why should I even waste my time rocking with you when I could just stay where I'm at? How you improve the game, how you build, is that there has to be value there. You can't come in just being a 7. Nah, you rock with us, you'll be on 11 on the scale of 1 to 10. You'll never go back. It'll be a different experience. Now, over time, your 11 becomes a 7 because people get used to shit. And it's starting to happen to us because we starting to get cussed out for shit that was luxury 2 years ago that we offered. We offered this as a luxury that people's minds was blown, but 2 years later, they're like, well, where's my so-and-so at? I'm like, yes, make sure he has that, because now they're used to it. We got to keep leveling up. But understand that's part of the game. What value can we add? What value? Fuck a relationship, community, anybody. They come second. They come second, third, fourth to you. That's that whole put your seatbelt thing on. Clamp that on. Make sure it's good. Because what good are you? What good are you? Like, hey, I got some problems outside. There's people out there that they got some problems. Come on. And I go, hey, Nana, come with me. Josh, come on. And Josh said, I got a broken foot and a broken hand. But I'm going to come out and help you. You're just going to get stomped out. You'll be a body that'll be occupied, but it's no value. Versus if I had went and got Kimbo Slice or something, rest in peace, Kimbo Slice. So understand the game is about value add. Next slide.
There are upsides to bad moods.
There are upsides to bad moods. Ooh, have you ever heard this before? There are upsides to bad moods. Good. No, I'm getting no's. Life ain't all about roses and happiness. Understand that life is about polarity. Life is all about polarity. How do you know what happiness is if you never felt a negative emotion? How would you even know what happiness feels like? You wouldn't. You don't know cold. The only reason why you know cold is because you felt hot. So contrast is part of life. And if you don't have any contrast to your life, then you're not living it. A lot of times, us as black folks, we want life to be happy and peachy and good and peaceful and soft and all the time. And it's understandable. You know why? Because if you came from a background of turmoil and you had tumultuous upbringing and you've experienced severe amounts of racism, abuse, even molestation, rape, poverty, robbing Peter to pay Paul, living in the hood, gangster shit, all of that, and now you're an adult and you're in control now, the experience you want to control is to always be happy, always feel good, no more problems, no more drama. And when it happens, you go 0 to 100 and you act like it's the end of the world. Because you set your life up and you set your world up to be happy. Look, I had that bad shit. Now I want my life to be good for the rest of my life. That's the half bad, half good. I'm controlling the good. That's how a lot of us think. The reason why I know, because I used to think that way. Damn, how come this shit always happen? Because everything from this day forward has to be good, has to feel good. That's the biggest way to set yourself up for failure, hurt, depression, because life happens. And when you have down times, hurt times, scarcity times, anger times, depressed times, there's upsides to that. There's efficiency in that. Let's read on. Oh, no, I'll stay here. What are they? What are they? So and this is not me talking, these are scientific facts. This come from science. That a person is much less gullible when they're not in a happy mood. They have more precise calculations in their head when they're in a down mood. They negotiate better when they're in a down mood. They can see past bullshit when they're in a down mood. They can grow their company better when they know how to be in what they call stoicism at times, or down moods. So when shit happens to you, those can be reality checks. There's so much clarity in anger. There can also be blind rage too, but there can be clarity in anger. The level of creativity that can happen in somber moods, in down moods, and anger moods is high too. That's why some of your favorite artists who have a body of work, 10, 20-year body of work, their best music was when they was going through shit. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me the Mary J. Blige who had the fucked up situations in life, albums didn't slap. And then when she got into a good relationship and life started being good, it didn't slap as hard. Is it me or is it me? Because that's how it works. It can bring out some of the brilliance in you when you're going through shit. Because everything is so sensitive. You're in touch with all your moods, with all your emotions, and it hurts. And the ability to convey that hurt on a canvas or somewhere, it's a scientific fact that it's more effective in those times. Not saying that you go seek down moods or anger or any of those things. I'm saying those are some of the upsides.
Hey, Court, talk about. I think it's something I don't know how to talk about or how to explain. But it's how you can be in a room with people, and how your space and your mood as an entrepreneur, now that you've been an entrepreneur for so many years, have you picked up on how your mood is slightly different? Like, say, in a room where everybody's just chipper and happy and going crazy or hyped up our game, and you're just not the same. There's a different, because I'm not sure if it's the journey we're on and the decisions we have to make, it changes the mood. And I think it's kind of like talking about what you're talking about, how it's not that we're going through somewhere depressed or we're sad or mad or we want to take the air out the room. But if you ever pay attention to strong entrepreneurs, they're not like people who fully really been engaged for years. When I say strong, I don't mean like how much money you achieve, but like if you've been an entrepreneur for a certain amount of years, you just don't have that really like pop energy type of. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you could be at the house with your family and everybody's like laughing and you'd be like, yeah, that's kind of cool. And they'd be like, damn, like, you know what I mean? You don't want this?
Absolutely.
It's a different energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes you may think you're dead inside, but you're not dead inside. What's happened is your experience over time has have shaped you into this being that looks at things objectively. So like you don't get drunk with anything. You don't get drunk with partying. You don't get drunk with laughter. You don't get drunk with anything. You always maintain a level of sobriety. And so sometimes that can appear to the outside world as just you're a party pooper or the jokes ain't funny. And that's not it. It's I'm staying sober because I'm watching out for everything. I'm watching for the okie doke. I'm watching this. I know this shits don't last because sometimes some of that over laughter, that super bit lost in the bliss kind of personality where they just laughing and going crazy, you know that that's a wave and that's an emotion and you got hijacked by something. So yeah, I'll enjoy a little bit of it, but I already know I'm a hop off before the crash so that I can stay sober. It's a sobriety. And you're not a less boring person. Matter of fact, you're more of a cultured person. You're more of a cultured person. It's just you understand that everything it comes in waves, and you don't get hijacked by it. Yeah, that's cool. So celebrities, like I trip out on how people go like lose themselves over celebrities. Just like because I used to be nervous around them. Pre-entrepreneur, I used to be nervous around them. Over time, I'm sober around it because I know that they're just like us. They just have a heightened level of skill in one area. But you can say the same shit to them to break them down as you would anybody else. So, is there any other questions around that before we go? So the point that we're making with this is life is meant to be lived, all of it. So as an entrepreneur, stop trying to skip the bad parts of the movie. Because what makes the movie great is the climax. It is all the parts. That's what makes the movie great. What movie have you ever watched where on that person's journey, life is good, in the middle of the movie, life was good, and in the end, life was good? How come that movie is not a bestseller if that's what we all want? Because it's boring. What makes a movie is to watch someone's journey go through the whole spectrum of emotion, that hero's journey. They have this mission. There's an antagonist. There's a mentor. There's a darkness that they go into. And they have to come out of that darkness a stronger person. There's an enemy that they have to fight and overcome. They overcome that enemy to get to the reward. What does that sound like? Every fucking movie that's a box office smash because it's predictable behavior as humans. We love that story. That's a hero's journey. But we love watching the story, but a lot of us don't want to live it. You're in the middle of it right now. Where are you? Have you just stepped off? Are you in the darkness? Are you at your enemy? Where are you? But know that, be willing. Let's go to the next slide. I'm about to say it. Go ahead.
The difference between guilt and shame.
Oh, what? Uh-oh.
Oh, did I miss?
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. Show up to it. Never dodge the smoke.
You feel me? You got to be willing to show up to those dark parts, those unfun parts, those unhappy parts, those parts where you took the loss, the parts where you got your ass whooped, the parts where it didn't work out, the parts where you hurt, the part where you're in agony, the parts where you're in pain, the parts where you're wailing and crying. Show up to it. Stop dodging that smoke. Stop dodging that smoke. Because what you're doing is you're trying to fast forward your movie to the good part again. Go back to that motherfucking part and get in it. Live it. Feel it. Process it. Learn from it. If not, then you got to replay that movie again in life until you get it. So show up to that. That's what makes us humans. I don't know about y'all, but the dopest parts about me that I love about myself came from the worst situations I've been in. Came from my biggest failures. Came from the shit I used to get made fun of the most about. So do not dodge the smoke. When you get into a situation, sometimes you got to take that deep breath and be willing, whatever it is, to embrace it. I don't know if you ever been skydiving. Skydiving is a dope experience because it's an exact replication of this. Is when you decide you want to go skydiving, you're showing up to it. And guess what? You know what's going to happen. They're going to fly the plane up whatever 1,000 feet, 10, 20, 30, 40, and you got to jump out of that motherfucker. So you show up. Now, there's a point when they tell you you're in this tiny-ass airplane with the side door wide open. You ain't in no seat. You ain't clicked in. You're just sitting there on the floor with a dude strapped to your back. So then he tells you, dangle your feet outside of the airplane. So you dangle your feet outside of the airplane, and you're sitting there flying with your feet dangling outside the airplane. And he says, okay, push off. So immediately the wall of fear goes up. What the fuck? Hell no. Shit no. Hell no. We're not made to fly. We don't got wings. That's the first thought that rushes in my head. Yo, you don't got to do this, Court. You could just tell him to land the shit. All those thoughts run through your head because internally you want to dodge this shit. If I don't show up to this and he lands this plane and I get my car and go home, nobody ever has to know the story. So it ain't like I'm going to look bad. I had to override that. Fuck that. Fuck that. Hell yeah, I'm scared. But I had to hit the fuck it button. If I die, I die. But I'm doing this shit. Push off. Pushed off. And you're in it. That's really the hardest part. The wind is hitting you crazy. The wind is hitting you. You don't even know where you kind of are because it's the wind and turbulence is hitting you crazy, going crazy. Where am I? And as soon as that parachute hits, it's the most peaceful, beautiful experience you ever had. And you're like, oh my God, this is as close, like this is amazing. Because that is what happens when you don't dodge the smoke. The beauty that comes out of those situations is amazing. And as soon as I landed, the first thing in my head was, I got to do this again. I got to do this again. There's no sound when you're that high. So it's complete silence. And you're staring at the sun. And you're over the world. And you see the world in a whole complete different perspective. And as you're landing, then the sound of the earth starts getting louder and cars and honking and this and that. And you're like, oh shit, I'm coming back to earth. Every experience that you're that afraid of, on the other side of that fear is an experience like that. Don't dodge it. Don't dodge that smoke. Show up. And sometimes you may not have the tools to do anything else besides just show up. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to do it, but I'm not running, so I know that much. So I'm going to sit here and just sit here. And next time, maybe I can sit here and do something, one thing. And maybe the next time I'll sit here and do two things. But the whole goal is half of that battle is just showing up to it. And the minute you start putting out that energy that you ain't dodging no smoke, then guess what? The universe responds back to you. People respond back to you. The minute you said to that bully who maybe was twice your size, I don't give a fuck. You might beat my ass, but I'm not running. And I'm going to do something. I'm going to bite an ear like Tyson or something. You're going to remember me somehow, but I'm not running. It changes the whole dynamic. So whoever is your adversary, your antagonizer in life, somebody who's been punking you, maybe it's even your parents, and you a grown-ass human being. The minute you decide not to dodge and just sit there in a space with them, game changes for you. Let's go to the next slide. Man, this is some cold. The culmination of all these slides together in one night, it just happened like this, but this is some cold game. This is crazy game. The difference between guilt and shame. So, this is, to me, was a beautiful, beautiful slide, because a lot of us are trapped in our own shame. We're trapped in our own shame. Maybe it's some shit that you've done in the past that you're not proud of. Or maybe it's programming from your parents or some other people or a significant other that drove you to think in this particular manner. But this is the difference, and I want you guys to note the difference. Guilt is, I done a bad thing. Shame is, I'm a bad person. Huge difference. Because a person who feels guilty can separate the thing from themselves. A person who feels shame can't separate it, can't shake it. They're I-amming it. I am a loser. I am an idiot. I am a failure. I am. That's what shame. So the depression levels of people who feel shame are high because they can't shake the thing from them. Person who's guilty, yeah, did you do that? Yep, I did it. That thing right there, I did it, but it's already separate from them. This, yeah, I did it. Understand this. In your journey, understand the difference. Because there's not one thing on planet Earth that you should be running around feeling shame for. Nothing. If any of you have read the Bible or have any kind of Christian background, that should be a perfect springboard for you to understand that concept. Forgiving yourself is mandatory. Do not, now, the next level of that is remorse, which means I learned from it. That was a fucked up thing that I did, and I learned from it. I'm not doing it again. And whatever thing I have to do to fix that, I'm going to do my absolute best to fix that. But you're not going to hold me in relationship jail for the rest of the relationship because of that one thing I did. That's what you're not going to do. So you have to be able to forgive yourself and be in an environment where you're forgiven too, so you're allowed to thrive. A lot of times You want to forgive folks for shit, but then hold it over their head. Punish them for it forever. But what that does is it backfires on you. Because when you have certain flaws or you feel something, then you'll put yourself in that same purgatory. That's the difference between guilt and shame. Next slide.
Take the self-compassion pill. Compassion gives us the freedom to redefine ourselves, as well as the all-important freedom to fail, which contains within it the freedom to take the risks that allow us to be truly creative.
See, this is why I got a problem with that cancel culture shit. Is that all other beings, anything else in life, you're allowed to be progressive. A tree has a shelf life. It grows and then it dies. Animals grow, die. Things grow and they die. But the key word in all of that is progressiveness. So if a person today is doing good work or is in a particular environment where the environment is thriving and the person is genuine, and then somebody goes back to a tweet in 1999 and find a tweet where they said the N word with an A, I think that's stupid as fuck. Because we have this perfection mindset where we're not allowed to be progressive and grow, and we prevent other people. We prevent self-compassion, self-forgiveness.
Also, misjudgment. The problem with, to go along with what you just said, when you judge somebody for an act, all of us are that at one point, but we're never that as a person. So everybody's racist at some point. Everybody's homophobic at some point. But you're not homophobic and you're not racist, right? A white man may have a racist moment, but he's not a racist. Big difference. And so that false, because think about this, have you ever been anything all your life? Right? Like let's say you're conservative with your money, or you're conservative in politics, but you may be a liberal in your family. You may be a socialist with your children, right? Like you're never one thing. And there may be a day that you're conservative with your money, and then one day you might become a liberal with your money, right? The labeling and putting people in a box as if that's your stamp that you need to die with is a human distortion that we're pushing through society. That's just an absolute contradiction, and it's horrible when we label ourselves the same way, which goes to your point of shaming and guilt.
Yeah, I mean, even the slavery shit. It's like, how does it feel? My great grandfather is a piece of shit because he owned slaves. Well, that was a culture back then. These social justice folk, he was a piece of shit, so I denounce. Like, that's what people did. That was the culture. They justified that with the Bible and their religion and that was the culture. So since the culture have shifted with new understandings and new thinking, stop demonizing past actions. Because if you're really honest with yourself, then all of us will be canceled. All of us. Everybody will be canceled. Man, in the 90s, we said faggot. And there was no problem. We said it to each other. It was a joke. Homosexuality was not prevalent and Christianity was strong. So you got rewarded for having that kind of mentality. So we used that word. Over time, you realized that it was a destructive word. So if you're conscious enough, you stop using it. If you're conscious enough, you stop using it. But for somebody to go back and find it when somebody did, that was a culture. So, understand self-compassion as human beings. We got to say, you know what? It's okay, I understand. You can redefine yourself and be something different at any moment. In the Bible, there was like Paul, right? Paul was Saul first. Saul was a persecutor of Christians. He killed Christians just for being Christians. How worse can you be? He killed Christians just for being Christians. His job was to look for them and persecute them. And he had an aha come to Jesus moment, literally. And next thing you know, he's the biggest Christian advocate. And now half of the books on that side was written by him. And we worship this, we have this religion that's dominant, prevalent religion in society with these figures inside the Bible that clearly prove that self-compassion and redefining who we are is a thing and a big thing, but yet we judge each other like that and cancel people. Crazy. So you continue to have compassion for yourself. And the thing is, the law of reciprocation states anything you do to yourself vibrates out to other people. So when you have self-compassion, it's easier for you to have compassion for a person. When you have self-love, it's easier for you to love. When you have self-forgiveness, it's easier for you to forgive. When you have self-happiness, it's easier for you to provide to be a source of happiness around other people. Man, shit is cold. Next slide.
It will come as no surprise to anyone that according to the research, being exposed to people who are hotter, richer, or more powerful than we are can send our own self-image into the toilet. It's called the contrast effect.
Stop this comparison shit with social media. It's making you more depressed, and it does not help you become more successful. Stop comparing. Comparison is a destructive tool for you. It's destructive. That's where we were talking about, I think Shakina had this question about comparison and competition. That's when the bell curve of competition starts being destructive, it happens when you start comparing. You start looking to the left and to the right and comparing your life, your successes, your accomplishments with people around you. That ain't your journey, cuz. They journey ain't your journey, cuz. It ain't. Just because you look like this person or you, doesn't matter. They journey ain't your journey. And as we grow, I notice that energy a little bit in my world. People think we made it. Oh man, y'all made it. Man, I see you doing big things. Like it almost hurts to say. Because a lot of times that reflection, people that use that comparison and they reflect on the comparison. Damn. So comparison plus shame equals what? Man, that means I must be a failure. I must be a failure. And that's where it can get us. Next slide.
We want life to be as dazzling and painless as possible. Life, on the other hand, has a way of humbling us, and heartbreak is built into this agreement with the world. We're young until we're not. We're healthy until we're not. We're with those we love until we're not. Life's beauty is inseparable from its fragility.
Man, this slide is so amazing. This slide is so amazing. This slide is so amazing. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier. We want life to be as dazzling and painless as possible today's time. It's not. What makes that life dazzling is the fragility of it. The fact that somebody can go out and get smacked right now. The fragility of life is what also makes it so amazing. If I said, look, you have unlimited lives, Kaja. You can never die. Guarantee that shit's gonna get old at some point. Because the fragility of it is what makes it amazing. So I love this slide. It says life's beauty is inseparable from its fragility. So when you move in that space, then guess what happens? This helps you be in the moment. It helps you stop thinking about tomorrow or next week or next year. It helps you to be in the moment and enjoy right now. Life can be chaotic. You can have drama. You can have shit popping off. But I'm just going to enjoy this ice cream I have in my hand right now. Oh, man, this is so good. This ice cream is so good. I wonder who makes this. I wonder where they make it. Is this organic? Like, you getting into it. Now you enjoying life. If you didn't learn that during the peak COVID season, you got to learn it now. So every experience you have as a human with your kids and with your customers, the past 2 months have been bananas for me, busy-wise. My daughter took my phone, like, Daddy, put your phone down. Look at me. All right, I got you. What we doing? Thank you for reminding me. What we doing? Fuck that. Let's go get some ice cream. Let's go get some ice cream. What kind of ice cream you want? I want mint. Oh, they got mint chip. Well, I don't want it then. Whatever you want, we're going to do it. I'm going to sit there and watch you eat it. Because that's what life is about, is the moments and the fragility of it all. And I think about how precious this little girl is. And I'll do all this hard work to try to set you up. But the most precious moment and what you need most from me right now is this. We're going to do this. And the more you get in and out of your frames to be in the moment, life is going to be life. We've all had our hearts broken to pieces, shattered. And if you ain't yet, it's going to happen. I know I sound like a hater, but it's going to happen. But also what's going to happen is you're going to be in amazing love relationships where you think, this is the best person I've ever seen in my life. That's going to happen too. We all going to get old. If you super handsome, super beautiful and sexy, there's going to be a time when you not. It's just the truth. And then one day we all gonna croak. We gonna be growing grass, and that's life. And expect that to happen. But that's also what makes life beautiful. Next slide.
One of the greatest human triumphs is to choose to make room in our hearts for both the joy and the pain, and to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. This means seeing feelings not as being good or bad, but as just being. Yes, there is this relentless assumption in our culture that we need to do something when we have inner turmoil. We must struggle with it, fix it, control it. Exert brute force, willpower over it, remain positive. What we really need to do, though, is also what is most simple and obvious: nothing. That is to just welcome these inner experiences, breathe into them, and learn their contours without racing for the exits.
I had to put the whole paragraph in there. This is beautifully written. Let's do one more. Keep going.
An infant screams because she can't express her unhappiness any other way. Any form of unpleasantness, hunger, a wet nappy, fatigue, elicits an inarticulate and overwhelming bawl of distress, which her parents may be able to interpret, but the people in the next apartment can't. Over time, we teach our children to define and articulate their needs and frustrations. We say, use your words. Unfortunately, many adults still don't use their words to define and understand their experiences and the emotions surrounding them. Without the subtle differentiation in meaning provided by language, they're unable to make sense of their personal issues in a way that might allow them to get a handle on them. Merely finding a label for emotions can be transformative, reducing hugely painful, murky, and oceanic feelings of distress to a finite experience with boundaries and a name.
Okay. Again, another great paragraph. So the idea is it's hard to process emotions if you don't have a name for it. So if you always think of just happy, sad, angry, and you don't really have an understanding or can easily define the exact emotion, how can you process it? So it started as a babies with just us crying. We cried for everything, whether we was hungry, whether we shitted in our diaper. It was like 5 or 6 things that we cried for. Now, the outside person just heard a cry. As a mother got good, she'd know which cry was for what. But as adults, we don't have the luxury of somebody being able to interpret our emotions. So you got to know if you're bored, or you're irritated, or you're frustrated, are you angry, are you livid, are you joyful, are you happy? Which emotion do you feel? Then it can allow you to process it. So as adults, we got to learn to use our words and to find the right emotion so that we can process the emotion correctly. That's how we get a handle on them. What am I feeling? What is this feeling? Oh, this is jealousy. Do you internally know what jealousy feels like inside of you? Do you know what compassion feels like? Some of us don't know what love feels like. It's lust. So that's why we go back to that point about what is get a PhD in you. Learn you. Study you. Become the best you. Be raw at you. Whatever that is. Be a master at understanding you. You are all you got. You are a lifetime. You with yourself for this lifetime. So if a lot of us don't even know who we are, we don't know ourselves. Or we run from the bad parts of ourselves, or the parts of ourselves that are the dark side, the shadow side. But the thing is, when you run from that, you lose full accurate knowledge about who you are and why you even behave that way. So learn to love all of it. So next slide. So we're going to end it with this. I'm going to tell you this, and I say it all the time. Journal. Journal. If your life is worth living, it's worth recording. A. B. The beauty about journaling is it separates the thought from the thinker. So what that does is it can allow you to treat things that occur in your life like guilt. It's over here. Now you look at it from an objective place. And don't romanticize the shit that happened in your life. Be 100 with yourself about your feelings, your thoughts, what you're going through, everything that's happening, which can allow you to process it better. I say this is a scientific fact because some of y'all are on this intelligence hype that I have to say it. The scientists say. I don't give a fuck about scientists, really. I'm grateful for them and their work, but I don't hero worship them at all. But it's scientific research that has gone into the fact that those who journal are more successful than those who don't. Period. Every study. Those who journal are more successful than those who don't. So if you don't write down your thoughts, feelings, it allows you to separate your feelings. And now your feelings, your thoughts and feelings are tangible in something. And the way you process it, they still don't have all the data, know how exactly it works. But it is what it is and it works. Journal. What you're going through, journal every day. Write something. Write what you're going through. If you're having tough times, write it. Write it out. I guarantee you, if you journal, Shabisha, I guarantee you, if you journal consistently, shit was going to get different for you. Next slide. Meditate. The book says mindfulness, right? I say meditate. Meditation does not have to be some guru sitting at the top of a hill. Meditation is allowing you to focus on your breath and make your breath the center point focus of where you are. And meditation does not mean to quiet your mind. It's impossible to quiet your mind. Meditation says, I focus on my breathing. And every time my brain or mind drifts off, I bring it back to my breathing. And that is my exercise. Again, for those of you who trust science, and scientists give you permission to do shit, it's a scientific fact. 17,000 studies that meditation overall gives you better health, clearer mind, better memory, better separation between stimulus and thought. Overall, you're a better human. Now, meditation does not have to be necessarily sitting in a room. It can be going out in nature. It could be going on a brisk walk or a ride or something that can get you to zone. I'm more traditional with meditation, so that's where my world is. It's my world. But there's other ways that you can meditate. Some people call it mindfulness. Scientists like to call it mindfulness because they're not ready yet to give all the gurus of 4,000 or 5,000 years ago they props, which whatever, fuck it. But get into a space on a daily basis and be internal. Just listen to your breath. It's simple. So start with that. Simply just listen to your breath. Or in 10 minutes, just listen to yourself breathe for 10 minutes. And when your brain drifts off, come back and go back to your breath and see how long it takes. There's some people who cannot sit in silence to save their fucking life. They got to go to sleep with the TV or radio on. They got to have people around. They got to have noise. They got to have sound. You are so incongruent with yourself right now if that's you. You can't even be with yourself. You can't even be alone with yourself. So break that pattern. Break that shit. Maybe you don't start with meditation. You just sit in a room that's quiet for 10 minutes. Start there. You'll be scratching like a crackhead. But just stick out the 10 minutes. And then over time, work your way to the breathing exercise with your eyes closed. Or if your thing is run, when I run, I can get into a meditative state. And ideas start shooting out. I solve a lot of problems with meditation. I solve a lot of problems in my business in meditation. That's one of my secret sauces. I'm solving problems. Boom, I get ideas. A lot of my good ideas, a lot of the ideas that has helped me grow my business came in a meditation. I've learned to have my pad and pen next to me. Boom. You know how they say sometimes people come out with good ideas in the shower? That's a form of meditation. Water, warm water, running down, flowing through you. You're calm, you're relaxed, you're in a releasing space. Boom, the ideas start coming. Now, don't replace showering with meditation. You still need to step that game up. Any questions? Good? All right, well, I want to say this. I want to take time to acknowledge Nana for everything that he's decided to do to bring this class forth, and to see the growth in it and to see the progression in it despite all the bullshit has been amazing. And I think the next platform that we're going to, I don't want to not recognize how far we've came, and the architect who has been the architect who's built this. So I just want to take some time, so everybody online and everybody here, take some time right now to give Nana his flowers. You feel me? Yeah. We love this brother. We love this brother. We love this brother. And you have to love your people with enough love to be willing to sacrifice portions of your time, not just to be a part of something, but to create something over consistent time. So, like I don't know if you understand how much I really appreciate him, because his selflessness and his growth over time and his evolution and his ability to really pull black folks together with his energy, and who he is and his knowledge. And he doesn't just learn for him. He also reads, learns, and listens to try to impact everybody here, to the point to where it's one of his driving forces. So definitely, like, thank you. And the fact that you opened up your space, your business space, for the last 6-7 years for black people to come and learn is incredible. Incredible. So thank you, bro. And so yeah. And so we're gonna see y'all in Alameda, at Alameda College. They let two, I was almost gonna say it, from East Oakland, California, to teach some classes? This shit crazy. I'm gonna laugh. I was in remedial class with the slow kids, and y'all gonna put me in front of a college class? All right, okay. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all later.